Hello, this is Sherline of Kathanika. The story I have for you today is a folk tale from the Khasi tribe of Meghalaya. It is called The Tiger and the Monkeys. This story is brought to you as part of the Utsar 2020 festival organized by the Jaya He Museum of the Mumbai International Airport. Did you know that tigers and monkeys are enemies and cannot tolerate each other? There is a tale told among the Khasis of Meghalaya to tell us how it came about. To hear the story, let us travel to the lush green forest of Meghalaya. The forests of Meghalaya are verdant and green. There are tall trees on which bloom flowers in different colors: red, blue, purple, orange. There are trees and plants on which you can find a variety of fruit. In the jungle, amongst the trees, live many animals and birds. At the beginning of time, the animals in the forest were free and living wild and unruly lives. But there were so many disputes and quarrels that the quiet forest would flare up by the heated arguments and deadly confrontations. To put an end to these unpleasant situations, the animals gathered together and decided to appoint a king to rule over them. A council was set up to choose the king. A variety of animals were considered, the possibilities debated, and finally, with one accord, the wise council nominated the tiger to be king. The tiger was strong. He had a mighty thundering roar, and he was selected not for any special wisdom or merit which he possessed. Oh no, but because of his great strength by which he was able to subdue the turbulent beasts. The tiger, although he possessed strength greater than any of his kind, was ignorant of the ways and habits of his subjects. The tiger was so self-absorbed that he never troubled himself to study the ways of others, and this caused him to act very foolishly at times and to make himself ridiculous. For instance, the other day, the tiger came across a clutch of eggs that the mother duck was hatching. He looked at it in awe and asked aloud, "I wonder where these eggs came from?" A squirrel immediately answered, "It is the fruit of the eggplant, of course." And off ran the squirrel, while the mother duck began giggling away. Aware of the weak point of the tiger, the animals were tempted to take advantage of his great ignorance and to play tricks upon him whenever they thought they could do so undetected. This tale relates how the monkeys played a cunning trick on their king, the tiger, which caused mortal enmity to spring up between him and them forever. It was a hot day. The mighty tiger was out for a walk. The sun was shining brightly, and the day gradually got very hot. The tiger had grown quite warm by the exercise and began looking around to find a nice place to cool off. The tiger spotted a large banyan tree with a nice covered, cool spot between its roots. The tiger went under it, seeking protection from the sun. There was a cool breeze blowing. The tiger settled down to rest. He closed his eyes and, enjoying the pleasant shade, soon fell asleep. After some time, the tiger woke up to the sound of some melodious singing. The song came from somewhere overhead. The tiger was pleased. He picked up his ears, closed his eyes, and listened to the song enraptured. It was the little insect, the cicada, Niang Taser, vibrating its thimbles, a thin membrane, to impress a female cicada. But Niang Taser was so small that the tiger could not see him, and being ignorant, he had no idea of where the sound was coming from. The tiger stretched his neck and peered into the branches right and left, trying to discover the singer. But he only saw a company of monkeys at play in the trees. So the tiger began to question them. Who was it that was singing above him? Now the monkeys and all the jungle animals were perfectly familiar with the song of the cicadas, the nyangtaser, and recognized the sound from afar. They thought it very disgraceful that the tiger, their king, was so ignorant. One audacious young monkey, in a spirit of mischief, answered the singer was their younger sister. The other monkeys looked nervously at the little monkey. They were nervous when they heard their brother giving such a brazen answer, thinking that the tiger would be offended and would punish them with his great strength. They were preparing to run away when, to their amazement, they heard the tiger reply to their rash young brother in a gentle voice, with most affable manners, and saying to him, "You are my brother-in-law. Your sister has the most beautiful voice in the jungle. I will make her my wife." The young monkey and the others were shocked by the behavior of the tiger. They had certainly not expected things to go in this direction. The monkeys got worried, as they knew it would be impossible to fool the tiger any further and to conceal from him the real source of the sound. They knew the tiger would not take it very kindly if he got to know that the little smart monkey was trying to pull a fast one on him. The monkeys were now in a tight spot. To reveal the real source of the sound was as much dangerous as revealing that it wasn't their sister singing. The path down either way would mean to bring down on them the wrath of the mighty tiger, and that would result in the little monkey probably losing his life. The monkeys were a close-knit clan and were determined not to desert the young culprit and, if possible, to try and rescue him. An elderly monkey approached the tiger and, with seeming courtesy and honor, put forward the excuse that their sister was very young and not yet of marriageable age. This excuse made no impression on the king, for he said, "So much the better. As she is young, I can mold her in my own ways and bring her up according to my views, which would be not so easy if she were fully matured." To this, another monkey replied, "Your Majesty, our sister is quite stubborn. She is lazy and fond of her own will." The tiger, however, was so lovesick that no argument could convince him otherwise. He thought the brothers were severe in their judgment. The tiger expressed his conviction that the monkey maiden could not be as lethargic as they said, for she was foregoing her midday nap for the sake of making music to cheer the animals. The tiger ordered the monkeys to come down from the trees and to lead their sister to him. After this, the monkeys feared to argue further, so they pretended to agree to the tiger's command. Sure, Your Majesty. If you wish, we will go and fetch our sister. But you see, she is our favorite sister, and we would like to have some time to make preparations. You are a great king of high rank, and it would not look good if we presented our sister as she is. You see, we are quite poor. We would like some time to make our sister presentable and fit to be a queen." The tiger thought it over and granted the request. It was arranged between the monkeys and the tiger that he would come and claim his bride at the time of the full moon, a week from that day. And so the tiger departed with evident goodwill. As soon as the monkeys found themselves alone, they began to think out some plans by which they could meet the situation and escape exposure. The monkeys decided to call together a council of the whole tribe of monkeys, for they well foresaw that the whole tribe would be in peril if the tiger found out what they had done. So the monkeys came to hold a council, and in that council it was decided that they must continue to keep up the duplicacy. In order to hoodwink the tiger still further, they planned to make a clay image after the fashion of a woman and to present her to the tiger as his bride. So the monkeys made preparations for a great feast, but they did not invite anybody except their own tribe to attend. During the succeeding days, the monkeys busied themselves collecting clay and molding it into a statue, which they propped against a tree. They piled up the clay somehow and got ready the body, but the monkeys were unable to make the head of one piece with the body, so they molded the head separately. When it was finished, they placed it loosely on the body of the image. Then they proceeded to dress the image in all the finery they could procure, and they carefully covered the head and face with a veil so as to hide from the eyes of the bridegroom. The night of the full moon arrived, and all the monkey family were assembled at the appointed place, where, with much clatter and seeming joy, they awaited the arrival of the bridegroom tiger, though they were really very anxious about the consequences. Everything was in readiness. A grand banquet was laid out with many kinds of food, so as to lead the tiger to think that they were sincere in their welcome. Presently, the tiger came, much earlier than the appointed time. The tiger was eager and very gorgeously arrayed. The tiger came decked as a bridegroom. He came wearing a garland of betel nut leaves around his neck and carrying an identical garland in his hand. Over his shoulder, the tiger had a net full of betel nut and pan leaves. The tiger was received with loud applause by his prospective relatives. But the tiger hardly noticed and didn't bother to give them a greeting. The tiger was impatient and he wanted to meet his bride. As soon as he arrived, he demanded to be taken to her immediately. The monkeys led him with great ceremony to the clay image, but their hearts were beating fast with fear lest he should discover the fraud. When they reached the image, they said, "This is our sister. Take her, and may she be worthy of the great honor you have conferred upon her." After this ceremony, the monkeys quickly retired to a safe distance, leaving the newlywed couple alone. When the tiger saw how finely dressed his bride was and how modestly she had veiled herself, he felt a little timid. The tiger was pleasantly surprised to find his queen so much finer than the little grey monkey he had been picturing to himself. He came up to her, hesitantly put the garland of betel nut leaves around her neck and placed the net of betel nuts and leaves at her feet and said graciously, blushing a little, "You are the chief person of this feast. Take the pan and the betel nut and divide them among your company according to custom." The bride, however, remained motionless and mute. Seeing this, the tiger asked the monkeys in a displeased voice, "Why doesn't your sister answer me or obey my commands?" "She is very young," said one of the monkeys. "Perhaps she has fallen asleep while waiting for you. Tug the garland around her neck a bit and she will wake up." Upon this, the tiger gave the garland a sharp tug and the loose head of the sculpture rolled onto the floor. Before the tiger could fully understand what had happened, the entire clan of monkeys, uttering the most piercing shrieks, pounced upon the tiger in a mob. "He has killed our sister! The rogue! The rogue!" they yelled. The women monkeys began beating their chests. "He only pretended to marry her so that he could get hold of her and kill her," they wailed. The tiger was bewildered at the sudden turn of events. He found himself surrounded by angry monkeys. Although strong, he was hardly any match for the entire troop of 100 monkeys. A fierce and bloody battle ensued, in which the tiger was nearly killed. The tiger somehow managed to find a way to escape and ran for his life into the jungle. The tiger never discovered the monkey's trick, but he learned one very effective lesson. He has never committed the thoughtlessness of proposing marriage with an unknown bride since that unfortunate affair with the monkeys. The monkeys, they rejoiced in the cunning by which they saved their brother and their tribe from punishment. Ever since then, the tiger has feared the monkeys, and they are the only animals in the jungle that dare challenge him to a fight. And that, my dear friends, was the story of the tiger and the monkeys, I hope you enjoyed the story. If you did, don't forget to share this story with your friends and subscribe to our channel. Bye-bye.